Welcome, everybody, to the Journeymen Lounge podcast.
You better be praying to God because, you're 14 and losses in a row. You're going to need Jesus.
Am I wrong?
I thought you were pretty wrong, yeah.
Welcome back, Journeymen Lounge pod listeners. We are back at you. Me and Ryan are throwing up a duo episode. Barbarino couldn't make it, sends his regards. And dude, we're right on the cusp of football season.
Hell yes.
I'm so excited. The one part I will say is, because we're gonna get to football in just a second here, but let's do a quick dive into our round that we did. We played at remind me again, Arlington Lakes.
No.
Was it
We
called?
played at no, it was where was it? Glendale Lakes.
Glendale Lakes.
Glendale
you are
Lakes.
absolutely correct. We played at Arlington Lakes before, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Glendale Lakes out in I guess that's in
Glendale Lakes.
Glendale.
Or Glen
I don't know. But let's just give a kind of overview of how the round went.
we're not geography experts.
I mean, we probably should know where it's at, if I'm being honest. But how'd you think the round went? I mean, we kind of gave some periodic updates throughout, but let's get the Ryan take.
I played like ass most of the round, especially starting the round. It was horrible. I felt like I was gonna lose it a little bit. I don't know, just couldn't get anything going. Kept especially topping my irons. Like that was really, I hate when I top it. That's like one of the most annoying things to me. And then I don't know. Then I started getting better, but a lot of the round was like me hitting a great drive and then following it up with a bunch of bullshit.
It's in Glendale Heights.
Okay.
Okay.
Following up with a bunch of bullshit and ending up with like a 7 instead of like a 4 or a 5. I got a couple 8s, I remember, which is horrible. I don't know. I mean, I ended up getting like a 104, which is actually not bad for me. It's in my range, like 95 to 105, but it felt like a worse round than that. So.
Well, if I may interject, because we rode together in the cart. Great cart buddy. Always brings the tunes over here.
Yeah.
And when we were going through it, I think it's even tougher when it's the first hole was not going particularly great for you.
It's just like setting the tone for the rest of the day, it feels
I feel like partially you're kind of getting that vibe from it, because golf is definitely very much of a feel sort of game.
And I'm kind of like a feel type of person too. Like I need like golf, basketball, whatever, just like shit. I don't know. So hand in hand.
Right. So I definitely think that was a something to kind of do with it. I will say that there is very small like tips that I'm trying to give, but it's just more of like just general knowledge that, like, if I'm being honest, sometimes like you or Bobby or really anybody that I go with, I just go like, take a beat, man, or like, take your time. Like there's no rush here. And then most of the time I do see somebody usually hit a better shot. Like I remember on hole 2 maybe you just absolutely piped 2 irons, like perfect shots for that hole.
5 iron, yeah.
If anybody knows Glendale Lakes, it is like this tough par 5 where you basically hit you tree line going into water about 270-ish away, but the hole is then guarded by another tree kind of on the other side of the water. So like basically you have to hit a perfect drive on the left side of the green, which is where your iron shot was. Then you have to basically pipe another iron shot, then with a fade. I mean, I would say, what would you say the distance to make over the water is? Like you got to be hitting 330 from the tee box.
Yeah, I mean, probably like 350 or something, 340. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
Which none of us have. So like that was where you had to play it on.
And it's a skinny fairway too, so there's not a lot of room for error. Like if you're like mine, and especially Bobby's drive. Well, mine actually has been straighter lately, but sometimes I tend to, what is it called? Fade? Or I don't know.
Fade.
To the right.
Draw comes in for a right.
Bobby like has an extreme fade, where it's just like
he plays a slice. There's no way you can't even say it.
Or whatever slice. He's like takes a sharp right. So he had to hit the iron. I had an iron.
Hold on. For those of you who know, if you've watched Caddyshack 2, which is a deep pull, Caddyshack 2, Jackie Mason, who's the guy who plays basically the father figure. I can't remember. Like Rodney Dangerfield is no longer there, so it's Jackie Mason as this guy. He aims literally 90 degrees because the guy says in the movie, he's like, you have the worst slice in the history of golf. So he's aiming this way to hit it this way because it just snapped.
I would say
slice.
If I had to describe Bobby's aim, he aims like almost like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's also a good way to.
Like 9 to 10,
sure.
Like in between there, like right in there. It's like pretty far. Probably not.
I mean, the one praise I will say about Bobby's shot, though, his name is Jack Hartunian in the second one.
Can I just side note really quick? I never saw Caddyshack 2, but my dad said it's like one of the worst movies.
It's not great.
It's
funny. There's some funny parts.
He hated it. He's like, Caddyshack 1 is so good. Caddyshack 2 is fucking terrible.
Yeah, dude, I will admit, Caddyshack 2 kind of missed the mark, but there's some funny parts.
He said the same thing about Grease 2, one of the worst fucking sequels. But anyway, side note.
No, it's all good. Good interjection. So, for Bobby, though, he can put it on a dot, though, where like he did hit probably like 11 out of 18 or 12.
He's good
fairways.
at it. Yeah, he's got it down. It's just when you see him like aiming, you're like, dude, you're gonna hit the houses.
And then Bobby always goes like, nah, I got it. It's like, all right.
Like, yeah, but no, it was overall it was really fun playing last week. The round was a nice day out. I wasn't like feeling sick like the other round before. I was coming off a cold the round before, so this time I was feeling good, which was nice. But just wish my score had been better. But overall it was fun getting out there and definitely want to get as many rounds in as I can the next month or two.
Before the football season really kind of swings into that. I'll say I'll keep mine kind of short is that there were really good shots that I had, and then there were some bad ones. And the problem with Glendale Lakes is that it's very narrow.
So narrow.
On some holes, like even like a 10-yard kind of like you have to hit it basically perfectly straight.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 yards of fucking, error free side. But, I was more pissed on the fact that on those holes where I know that on that par 4 shot I've hit a good shot before, it's really annoying when I do that or the par 3 right before that over the water. Like I remember the last one that felt good.
There were a lot of par 3s there.
But the last time that I was there, which I think was me, you, Kyle, and Serge, shout out. I remember chunking like 2 into the water on that hole and going like, fuck this, dude. Like this round sucks. Then coming back, stroking a drive perfectly.
Yeah.
And I just was like, it's ups and downs basically. I like, and just generally scoring in I think I shot like an 89 or something like that. I'm like, that's good, feels good, but it's definitely some shots left out on the course that you go, if I could just not. I think one hole I lost like 2 balls back to back right into the water, into the other water, and I chopped the ground a little bit in frustration. But
I chopped the ground a couple times on I don't know whatever shot. I remember I kept struggling like with the really like the short shots, like the in between shots where you just got like you're off the green a little bit or like kind of like a lot like I don't know 20 yards or something. It's like I have trouble like if I don't have my one shot going, like just getting the rhythm. I kept hitting it like way too hard, like way too far, or like chunking it and going 2 feet. So
yeah, I would say that you I think you said it in the day that you were just kind of little all over the place and like good shot here, bad shot here, then good shot, then bad, and
I really just need to get to like Green Valley and just go like all irons for like a bucket and just work that shit out.
I think the drive is important, but the irons are definitely a little.
Well, right now I'd say I'm more confident the way my drive's been than the irons. At least especially in the short, like I said, like under 100, like especially like 50 or under, like gives me trouble.
Hell yeah, yeah. John Daly fucking said 150 and in is like. You work on that if you're an amateur golfer.
Well, for me, it's like when I can't take a full swing with my club, and I have to do like some in between shit or like. I don't know, a half swing or I don't know, like it gives me trouble.
Yeah, I get you. So when Bobby gets back on, whenever that may be, we'll definitely make sure to ask him about the golf round, how we think it went, and then also
we were all wearing the same shirts. I forgot about that.
Right, and Bobby's we didn't. I don't think we debuted it. We debuted it in the Instagram. So if you see that,
Bobby bought us all shirts.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. Check out the Instagram for that. So we'll get his take on the golf round when we podcast next. Let's get into though the sport that's about to take over the fucking world here.
Foosball?
Fucking fantasy football here, man. So we're gearing up for it. Next week is going to be all fantasy, all football. We are going to take a break in the album review and the movie review for that next week, but then we'll pepper them back in. Throughout the season. Let's talk about fantasy football. We have a draft coming up tomorrow that we're in. We have a draft on Sunday, I believe, right?
Big draft Sunday.
Big draft Sunday.
I'm so excited. I look forward to this every year.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
Nothing like to get into it, the tomorrow draft is your league with the commissioner, and that's like just a regular online standard thing, which is still fun. But the one on Sunday is a live 12-man, everybody in person draft, which is nothing like it once you do it. Just like makes the online drafts just seem like like not like
it's just better because you have the camaraderie of, especially with the League of Assholes, which I believe that's what
I think it's our name.
Let's put that up for a fucking vote in the just come
we
up
gotta come up with some other propositions then.
But everybody there is into it, so that's the thing. And I'm not saying in Three Penis Wine like not everybody's into it, but like you can definitely tell that like at during the season there's always a dialogue of hey, I need this. What are we doing? Like this or something. Like, it's always stuff about the league. But
it helps. Yeah, like you said, everybody is. I think this is like the most well-knowledge league generally. Everybody's pretty on their shit for the most part. And most of us know each other for a long time. And if we don't know the other guys, we've gotten to know them. So it's through playing. So it's really it's fun. The camaraderie and just like the competing, and then like when you do your picks, the instant reactions of the you fucking moron, or like, oh you took my guy, or
I mean, to be honest, that happens regardless whether it's a good or bad.
No,
pick.
but like when it's in person, I feel like you feel it more. It's just like different than someone just typing it in a little box. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with you that it's just more. I mean, obviously it's just more intense. It's everybody.
And you got everybody around like studying the their notes or whatever, or their printed out rosters. So it's a good time. I got my notes ready to go, highlighted, my green Coach Klein Waterboy book ready to go.
Coach Klein, Mr. Coach Klein.
Now I'm gonna get this here. I'm gonna go off the physical.
Well, Mama don't know, won't hurt it.
Yeah.
All right. So, excuse me. I have another draft on Tuesday.
Oh, then I have another one on Wednesday.
So yeah,
which is a 2 quarterback league.
Yeah,
technically, it's a second offensive. It's an OP. We can put anybody in there, but for all intents and purposes, it's a 2 quarterback league.
There you go. Yeah, dude. I think again, what our focus is during this season is probably going to be kind of concentrating on one that people are following.
We should say what picks we have.
I know. I was getting.
I'm sorry. Dude,
you're just stepping on toes. It's all good.
Well, I didn't know where you were going.
Yeah, no. Trying to.
It seemed like you were
trying to give the people what they want.
Sounded like you were gonna skip to the next thing. I wanted to get that before we did. So.
I got you. Yeah. So, again, not for the one on Wednesday, but let's do the big money league is what I call it. On Sunday, what do you have?
Picking 2.
2. I think I have 11th or something like that.
I'm
in the back half of it.
You're either 10 or 11 or 12.
Or 12.
Yeah.
So go with just a real kind of like quick view into like what are you doing it to? Like it's very easy because there's literally, if one takes this person, you go here. If one takes here, you go here.
You just laid it out. Basically, I just sit back and let the first guy make his pick. It's going to be one of these 3 players, most likely. CMC, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. Yep. I'm assuming Dan will take CMC. So for me, it's between Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
I know I'm going to take.
Okay.
I'm not going to divulge that yet.
I totally get it.
But
I mean,
and if he doesn't take CMC, I'll probably just take CMC, honestly. But I would highly doubt he would not take him.
I'm telling you, it's definitely. I totally get it's smart to not show your hand and go, hey, this is exactly who I'm going to pick. I think it'd also be hilarious if you go, this is who I'm going to pick, and then switch it up on the day.
Well, it's funny. I have considered taking like say a Breece Hall or a Bijan, just because of the scarcity of the running back position in fantasy football.
Right.
However, the points that those guys put up, the two previous players I mentioned, Tyreek and CD, and just when I think of it, like this. When I'm playing the other person and I see this guy in their lineup, I'm like, oh, fuck. And those two guys, more than the running back, those two running backs, to me, the receivers are more like, oh, shit, I got to play Tyreek. Oh, I got to play CD.
Yeah,
Lamb.
no, it's kind of,
you know what I mean?
You hit it on the head. It's the oh, fuck factor.
Like, oh, shit, I got to play CMC today.
Right.
Like Breece Hall might have an off game.
I mean,
Bijan had off games, even though they have a new offensive coordinator and things.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest question mark that I have is what the New York Jets are going to do. I think they should put up points. Who is going to be scoring those between Garrett Wilson and...
We got Mike Williams there now, the former Chargers receiver coming off
an
ACL tear.
He's made of fucking glass. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, all it depends on Aaron Rodgers' health the whole season, last year. I'm just saying, and he's coming off the Achilles, and he's, 39 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah, he's up there.
So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. The defense they have is great, though, on the Jets. Mm-hmm. So, whatever you're in the back end, so you just got to basically, you're going to wait. I've been there. I actually like where you're at. I like.
Not this year. Most years, yes. Not this year.
For me, I love having the 12th pick personally. I like having the back-to-back, knowing that I'm going to get these two guys and letting the draft play out and just sitting back and taking the best value. So I think also just in general, like you want to have either like the first 3 picks in the draft or the last 3, I feel like, and then sometimes in the middle it's kind of fucked. I don't know. 4 and 5 are okay, but like 6 through let's say 9, it's kind of like no man's land. I feel like where you're waiting the longest and you're kind of getting the middle of each.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a waiting game at those picks. I mean it's definitely going to be like, just for example, in my other draft, I was a 6 pick, which didn't make a whole lot of difference because it was a 3-person keeper league.
Yeah.
So you're already starting with a large pool of players already eliminated.
Yeah.
There are players to get for sure, but what I would say is that the team, like I decided very early on that I'm going to go heavy wide receivers. Jeez, I'm burping like a motherfucker. But heavy wide receivers. Not a whole lot of running backs, as you said, kind of available, so I shied away from them. I have running backs, but am I excited about them?
I mean,
fuck no.
I generally think that while it's good to have running backs, it's also you shouldn't necessarily go based on the position. You should go for best value a lot of times.
No, I'm just telling you my draft strategy is to go.
I think it just depends on who you take first too and shit. Like you have to let the draft kind of come.
Right. I mean, for sure in the back half. I'm just simply stating that again. There is a factual part that a team will lean heavy wide receiver, heavy running back. And this year, to me, there's more, like you say, kind of oh fuck factors of like this guy can.
Who are you hoping to get in the big league where you're drafting? Who do you think will be around there?
I don't even know who would still be available, but like
I mean, I feel like you're looking at maybe like Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Somebody in a fucking rankings or whatever thing said like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. will probably be there. Maybe like
I mean, I will tell you, I can't.
Puka will probably be there.
In a league where we basically throw all the players back into the pool, I cannot, in good conscience, put the season's hands in the season in the hands of Marvin Harrison. I just I couldn't do it for
your
like
first
a rookie
pick. Yeah,
it's a tough one for me.
If he came back, it'd be nice. Then you would probably be like, okay, but like
maybe yeah, I could see that.
I could see like because it's an unproven thing. Like a first, I don't blame you on that. It's kind of like do you want to like some of these early rounds go for that tight end or that quarterback, even though it's like. You want to kind of stack up the other position. Mm-hmm. It's a tough call sometimes where it's just like, who's going to be there later? And, when things start to trend in certain rounds, they just kind of go like one person starts a tight end and like 4 people just take him out of the next like 7. You never know. Like, so.
No, I definitely get it. Again, we're going to go more in depth in the draft because, like on the next one, because 1, we'll have Bobby back, and then 2, we will have already drafted, and we can kind of say like, hey, this is what I was thinking here, and blah, 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 and go more in depth.
For sure.
Also have more time.
And we got the one tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it should be dope. We're going to be over at Blake and Bronson's. Actually, I'll take that back. Blake and Nats. Jesus Christ. Bronson will also be there for the 3 Penis Wine League. So, like, I already posted on the page the draft order video, which I did. Hopefully, you guys check that out. In that league, I am drafting 3rd. You have
8.
8. I mean, again, we don't need to necessarily go into this.
I did one mock last night at 8 of the 8. I think I had a pretty good team. I'm not gonna lie, honestly. I didn't like it like from the get go, but I mean, not that that mock drafts mean anything. It just gives you somewhat of an idea. But it was kind of like, oh shit, this is not bad actually.
Okay, in your mock draft, who'd you go with that 8?
Jefferson.
Okay,
Justin Jefferson was the best on the board at the time. So I don't know. There was Jonathan Taylor was there. Gibbs was there, but. I actually love Gibbs. It's just that the fact that he has the hamstring injury in camp that kind of worries me a little bit, and that Montgomery's there, and he was on my team last year, and he was fucking awesome. Granted, he's probably the backup now, obviously, but he'll still probably get like 10 to 12, 15 carries, and like they like him in the red zone, so he might steal some goal line work. It just depends.
No, I got you. Yeah.
I think they were both good fantasy backs last year. Like
For sure.
I had a horrible, I had Nick Chubb, he got hurt, so Montgomery ended up being like my number 1 for a lot of the year, and he was actually pretty solid. So.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, for the draft tomorrow, we are going to do some bonus stuff, so we'll kind of leave it until then, which will be out. So that's going to be, again, it's just going to be jam-packed with fantasy football stuff between tomorrow. On Sunday, I don't think I'm going to bring any equipment to record anything. I'm just going to let the freak flag fly.
That's business. That's business day.
Business day. That's a Super Bowl of the fucking.
I will be rocking a jersey.
Nice. So for the next thing that we're going to jump into here, so we're doing the album review. Like I said before, we'll get Bobby's takes
because this was Bobby's pick.
It was Bobby's pick, and then he unexpectedly couldn't make it here. So it was Offspring Smash is the title of the album.
Yeesh.
But before I go into that, I just want to make sure, are we good on fantasy football?
Yeah, man. We think we got a lot, more than I anticipated.
And the golf round, so I think we're at a good spot here.
Yeah.
Again, Bobby would have led the charge on this one, but we'll go with Smash. So you got a little bit, at least a little background on Offspring, right?
Yeah. I think I can look at the internet and see what's going on here. Wikipedia here. So the Offspring, this is their 3rd album. It was released April 8th, 94. Which I'm surprised. I thought this was like their debut album, but I guess apparently they had 2 before. I didn't realize how old they were. They started the band I read it in 1984, and it was called something else, and then they changed it to the Offspring.
Okay.
And then they had so their previous album was in 92, and this is their 3rd one. But this would be like their breakthrough album, is what they call it, where they finally reach the mass audience, and
I think this definitely hit the commercial,
more of a popular group or whatever.
Yeah, just commercially, I think this was probably the more.
Just for example, the singles from that we'll get into, but the singles were "Come Out and Play."
Just read through the whole track listing. I think.
Okay, well, let me start with the singles. The singles were "Come Out and Play," "Self Esteem," and "Gotta Get Away." And this, I was just gonna say too that this Offspring and bands like them, Green Day, Blink-182 were kind of the emerging of like pop punk, like California kind of pop punk, making its way into the popular music scene and bringing that type of rock and music. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And I like obviously all those bands. So
yeah,
for the track listing, it goes in order. Time to Relax, that's the intro. Nitro, parentheses, Youth Energy. Bad Habit, Gotta Get Away. Genocide, Something to Believe In, Come Out and Play. Self-Esteem, It'll Be a Long Time. Killboy Powerhead, What Happened to You, So Alone, Not the One, and Smash ends the CD.
Okay. So I'll just kind of go off of the, the Offspring is definitely one of those groups that also kind of made their way into, like, I would say definitely pop culture of like movies. You definitely had some songs in movies and video games.
I was just going to say, for me, listening to this reminded me of like playing Tony Hawk. Like, I think they have more than one song or a few of these on a couple of the games. This is what kind of reminds me of like that. It said that California like
Mm-hmm.
pop punk '90s rock.
Right, fast paced like
Yeah.
stuff, and
It's got a lot of bass and like quick drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the one thing I will just kind of lead off with the Offspring, I am a big fan of the Offspring, and this is definitely a perfect example of an album that I definitely would have purchased because there are enough songs on it that I go, these are great.
Yeah.
Still, in my mind, still some ones that were not the greatest there.
I agree.
But I will say that there is unfortunately some repetitiveness in a couple of the songs. They use, I think, the same kind of beat. The Offspring's lead singer, do you have that pulled up readily?
Dexter Holland.
Okay. We don't fact check, but his voice is very like unique. So like there is a part of it like him paired with the drum beat that again kind of similar is like I kind of felt in a couple of the ones which I would say probably are like Something to Believe in, Nitro Youth Energy, that's pretty much, I mean, maybe one more. Not the one. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a long time for some of it. Definitely was like, it's in the same tempo and it's the same thing. The one thing I'll also kind of give, praise to the Offspring though is like, I love the songs that are like 2 minutes, 2:30, quick to the point. Same thing, kind of like what Blink did.
It wasn't
as well.
Yeah, it was a good.
Time.
It was an easy listen or whatever. Like I did it like kind of last minute because I was like, oh shit, I gotta do it, and I really enjoyed it, and actually went by like pretty quickly.
Right, it's like a 45-minute or so.
Yeah, the songs
50.
went like you said like pretty fast. Yeah, I'm an Offspring fan too. If it were me, I would have picked the next album, Americana.
It's either or for me. It's kind of like these are the two best, two most.
This was good. I never listened to this whole album. I've obviously heard like the singles from it. But yeah, I had like out of like the 14 songs, I only didn't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I liked 8 out of the 6, and even the ones I didn't like, quote unquote, like, I didn't like hate them. I just like they were fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, as we're kind of just saying, like, let's just shout out. I mean, you mentioned the singles, but like I think that there are two of the most, and I literally put this down, one of the greatest songs of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Come Out and Play and Self-Esteem.
Those two for sure.
Two are the, like, to me, those are the A pluses, the fucking gold stars. There is nothing better. It's on that other plane of existence. And then basically there's a lot of songs that fall into like, hey, it's good. And then
Are you saying for this album or for the Offspring in general?
For this album.
Okay.
For the Offspring, there's obviously other hits and stuff like that.
Sure,
that
I was just curious.
Enjoy, and their cover of Pretty Fly for a White Guy.
I liked.
So, like, what's your top, like, besides...
outside of the singles?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Gotta Get Away is also one of them. I did like that one, too. I had Bad Habit. I like
Bad
that
Habit
one.
was I put classic, dope-ass song.
Genocide. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Not the One and What Happened to You.
Okay. What Happened to You, I put down Nice Change of Pace song, so it was a little outside of it. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
And this album, I think, had a pretty decent flow. I will mention where the flow got off track, but in a second. Genocide, again, was another one of those very similar, kind of sounding songs, but good. It's still, again...
Yeah, I mean, I think like you kind of hit the nail on the head where a lot of the songs sound like of a similar composition or... the way the music's put together, the rhythm and shit, it's very similar, but it's not bad. It is very similar though, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think you find that with a lot of these bands in that time period is that they're trying to make themselves...
It's kind of like their sound. Like, if you like it, and,
right, trying to make themselves known, but, like, it is also it's an algorithm of, like, this is what works. People like this type of song.
Like the Chili Peppers that do that, too, a lot,
right.
Where it's like they have a similar sound, and some people give them shit for, and some people are like, well, I like their sound. That's so...
the ones that I will say would just kind of... It lost me. Killboy Powerhead...
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Was very... It's basically just said the same word over and over. And
I didn't like the one before it that much either. It'll Be a Long Time. I didn't hate it, but it was like, it's fine.
Wasn't great. So Alone.
So Alone, yeah, I had that too.
and then the last
last
one,
song. What are they?
so I go Odd Way to End.
Dude.
The
5 minutes of silence.
this is what I will say to that. Okay, is that
5 minutes
from a commercial like standpoint of like when you get this on a CD and there's no internet, which is when it came out, really. I get that because it's literally it's only for the people that fucking figure that out to go,
like
oh shit, there's
hardcore fans,
like an Easter egg at the end of a fucking Marvel movie. So at the time, I totally get it. Now, where I go 10 minutes on to end, this must be, because I never really heard the secondary part of it, like that song. I just knew the first part kind of like vaguely, because I don't think Smash was even like one of their. The name of the album that the song is titled after is not even like the biggest hit on that.
Here's what I would say too, though, about it. Couple notes on it. I get that whole thing, like you're saying, of like, because I've had that on other albums, like Blink-182 has done that, but they don't wait 5 minutes. They wait like 1 minute, maybe 40 seconds, or like a minute and a half tops, and then it's like another song plays, or like I think Kanye or Jay-Z did that too, and it's like okay, but they waited 5 minutes. And then they just did a acoustic version of was it Self-Esteem or Come Out and Play or whatever?
I think it was Come Out
and Play.
Yeah.
So you wait, and there was only like 2 minutes of it, and you waited all that time just for to hear this song you've already heard in a different.
Right. I think it is, again. It's something that this, having the ability to go, hey, I see 10 minutes. I'm just going to fast forward to the end. In the time that it came out, I think it probably was something that, like, it's cool for the people that eventually found it. I'm sure there's people that literally turned it off and go, okay, great, good album, or whatever.
I kept going on my phone. I'm like, I fast forward like a minute, and in a minute, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, is my headphone broken or something?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. So, I mean, with me, I'm pretty good on the Offspring. I think this is definitely one that you would have liked to have.
No,
for sure.
I never had heard this album. I've heard the songs. I was more of my intro to them was Americana, so I listened to the album more. But this album was really good, so I quite enjoyed it. I think it was a good pick from Bobby.
Yes, definitely, and I do want to get his thoughts when we do get him back on. Because again, it's really weird that he chose it and then he's not here to fucking discuss it.
Right, we did discuss should we wait or not, and well.
It's all right because we're going to have Bobby, he's going to be literally back on next week, hopefully, and we'll go through that. We'll go through the fantasy stuff with Bobby. We'll go through the just a quick recap of the golf round here. But let's take a quick break. Again, we're not doing an album review next week, so we're not teasing anything. We are going to go into the movie review of my choice, Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks.
Frankenstein.
1974. So... take a chill pill. We'll be back like 30 seconds and fucking discuss the shit out of this movie.
Hey.
All right, so we're back. The Journeymen Lounge podcast is doing the movie review of Young Frankenstein. This is Mel Brooks, 1974. This is the movie that he directed, but he did not actually star in on screen. He did some additional voices and some additional kind of character voices.
He said that Gene Wilder said that he wouldn't allow him to be in it as part of the deal, I guess, of him being in the movie.
So, I mean,
I don't know if that's true or not. He's just joking. I don't know.
Right. So Gene Wilder, who plays Frederick Frankenstein, he plays the main character. I just want to give a quick background on Mel Brooks because I mentioned on the last pod that, like, again, I'm going to at some point throughout the entirety of this podcast do every single Mel Brooks movie that he has either directed and or starred in. There's a lot of other shit that he's done kind of more recently that's like more animated stuff, like he was in Hotel Transylvania. I'm talking about his live action roles.
He was in the 4th season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of my favorite seasons.
Right. So, I mean, things like that, while it's greatly noted, like he's still doing his shit to this day, I just simply look at it like there's like these solid 10 movies. I think it's 10, maybe 11, but like these 10 movies or 11 are kind of like what I look at it as the Mel Brooks collection. So Young Frankenstein is a 1974, as I said. Also, Blazing Saddles came out in 1974, so he had both of those come out, which were, I would say, definitely the bigger movies here of his, not necessarily of his career, but definitely the start of, like, again, this 10-film period. Because if you didn't know this, I actually read it in his biography that he had been in TV shows and radio shows, more TV shows, but started in radio for, excuse me, all of the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah, he was a writer, him and Carl Reiner.
Writer, yeah. So they did a lot of shit to that. Then he transitioned into the movies and stuff like that. But it's an interesting book. I will say the least to in terms of like his life. He's 98 years old. He's fucking lived a fucking hell of a life here. But just a little bit of background. I love Mel Brooks. My parents for sure, introduced me to Mel Brooks, and it's been a love affair ever since. He's fucking fantastic. And I don't know. What's your kind of experience with Mel Brooks?
Well, my experience would be probably first when I saw Spaceballs. My dad showed it to me at my grandpa's house. It was like, you got to watch this. It was basically a parody of, or a satire.
You got to hug
parody.
that mic, man.
Huh? Sorry.
Just get a little closer.
Satire or parody of Star Wars.
Yep. Spaceballs, which we will do at some point.
And then I had seen Men in Tights. It's been a long time since I've seen either of them, but I've seen both of those. I don't know if I've ever seen the whole thing of Blazing Saddles. My dad used to love it and talk about it. I know I've seen like the farting scene around the fire, but I couldn't tell you the other scenes I've seen. It's been a long time. And this movie I saw, actually I think in Expo Comp in senior year of high school. When we were done writing our paper. The teacher would just watch movies till the end of the year, and this is one of them. So, and other than that, like I said, he was in the one season of Curb. And, he's just one of those guys, just like a Mel Brooks funny guy,
Yep. So, for Young Frankenstein, just a real quick synopsis. So, this is a parody of the Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley original book, or I don't know if it's a short story of Frankenstein. And it's just basically, it's a parody of that. Very similar to Spaceballs being a parody of Star Wars. It's just basically doing a movie. The 1931 version, specifically with Boris Karloff,
right,
is what they're basically parodying, and it's just basically, again, the story of Frankenstein. For those of you who don't know, a doctor fucking putting together dead tissue,
a new brain, or was it?
It's reanimating dead tissue, and
a brain into a different body, and a dead corpse, and then
you're basically turning the lights back on.
But he turns into a monster,
right? So. A Young Frankenstein is a black and white movie that's first to be known. It's definitely one of the very few comedies that are a black and white movie that was released obviously in '74, way after there was color.
It was intentional, obviously, right? Because it wanted to be like the Frankenstein from the '30s. So,
and honestly, dude, it works. It works for this.
Yeah,
shit.
I was gonna say, for me, I don't prefer black and white, but it makes sense for this movie to do so.
Absolutely. So let's get into just kind of scenes and stuff like that. The Elizabeth, who's played by Madeline Kahn, who again is this is the nice thing that I like about Mel Brooks films, are that you get a lot of same people kind of making appearances and stuff like that. This other guy, Liam, what's his dick? Liam Dunn was one of the Johnsons or the preacher in Blazing Saddles. Madeline Kahn's frequently in there. So the scene where they're on the platform and she's going to a party, and they're like, this is his supposed fiance.
Yeah.
And, she's like, oh, don't kiss me. I just put lipstick on. Oh, don't touch the hair. And then he's like, "Oh well, the coat is whatever material, like don't touch it or whatever."
Yeah,
The-
they do like
the-
elbows or something.
Yeah, they do elbows, but the best part is that as the train's leaving away, he blows her a kiss, and then she dodges it because it's just
I didn't
you know,
notice that. That's funny.
it's just it's the type of it's like slapstick kind of comedy, but it's just more of like, to me, it's just like more outrageous kind of comedy in terms of just like over the top, which I think is always hilarious. But
Yeah.
what you got?
Man, I don't know. Like this movie is like there are like scenes, but it's also just a lot of like funny, like just like gags throughout the movie.
Well, I think you have to understand that not for you, but like the audience.
Yeah.
Like this movie is for sure fast moving through like you don't really have long drawn out scenes where they're in the same area. Like even the scene of the like reanimating the monster played by Peter Boyle, like it ends up being like probably like a 4-minute scene, but that's like the longest scene there, and there's really not any dialogue. It's just moving the thing up and down.
There's a lot of quick shit, like when they keep saying the thing. Was it Frau Bruja or what was it?
Frau Blücher.
Yeah, and then the horse is every time. I have what's it called here?
There's also Cloris Leachman, who's fucking so funny.
The spinning bookcase gag.
Yes.
The secret passage to the laboratory where he's like remove the candle and
put the candle back.
Yeah, and he's like stuck or whatever, and then keeps spinning. That's like just classic like Mel Brooks stuff. And I also have let's see.
I mean, I would just say that there's the same thing with what you're saying here. Like even just like a quicker scene of like the charade scene is the Dr. Frankenstein's getting choked by the monster, and then they're trying to do charades so you can tell them to get the sedative, and doing all the classic charades tropes of like sounds like on the nose, sedative.
I like the part in the beginning.
Sedative.
The part in the beginning where Igor meets Dr. Frankenstein, and they kind of just like he's. I think his name actually is Igor, but he just for spite was like Igor, just because Frankenstein or whatever.
So
wouldn't admit it or whatever. He's like, why wouldn't it be Froderick then?
So let me also just maybe add this context so that definitely tracks though. I kind of glossed over it because it is the retelling of Frankenstein, but this like take on it, I guess, is that Dr. Frederick Frankenstein.
This is the grandson.
He wants to be done with it. He's a scientist.
Right.
His
his grandfather was the one who was the original monster making Frankenstein.
And so he was left his castle in the will. The grandson goes out there. He's like, no, my name is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And instead of Frankenstein. But eventually he finds the secret, like,
and later he's like,
study.
It is Frankenstein. Or whatever.
Right. So I think it's just like, it's telling of like, this guy has an obsession with trying to finish that, or, the greatest one of this, like, again, gags are like the book that he finds. It says "How I Did It" by Baron von Frankenstein. It's like, it's just like right out there. But
so they meet each other, and he's like, "Okay, Igor." He's like, "No, it's Igor." And he's like, "What? They told me he was Igor." Well, they were
Frankenstein.
wrong. They were wrong, weren't they, or whatever? Yeah. But you can tell it's just like he's just doing it because he's doing the same shit. I thought that was kind of funny.
And Igor is played by Marty Feldman, and everybody knows this guy just by the picture. Like, he's got the crazy eyes. But he was in a bunch of stuff. I believe he was in Monty Python for like a while, collaborator with that stuff. He also had a bunch of movies I didn't even know about, like in the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. What else was I going to say?
Do you want to still do a couple of scenes, or no? Or are we done with scenes?
Yeah, I mean, I got just maybe like one more. Like, they, again, jokingly, he teaches the monster, who's played by Peter Boyle. They teach him how to do the song "Put It on the Ritz."
Yeah.
Like, it's an old Showtimey thing. Fits in with the movie, but again, it's just like over the top of.
Put it on the Ritz.
Yeah, I mean, like, he can't really enunciate and all that stuff. And then the one guy that I would just say though, and the scenes that he's in, is fucking always hilarious. In that, like. The inspector,
yes,
played by Kenneth
Mars, which also, by the way, Cloris Leachman and him, Malcolm and Middle connection. They were both prominent on Malcolm in the Middle. Cloris Leachman is Lois, his mom, and
Kenneth Mars.
Ken Mars played Otto, the German boss of Francis in
Right,
seasons
right,
4
right,
and
right.
5. One of my favorite characters. He's hilarious.
Solid connection there.
I thought that was interesting that they're both in this movie. And also that he's doing a German accent in this and in Malcolm in the Middle. I wonder if they, because of this movie, they were like, hey, do a German guy.
Possibly. I don't know. But yeah, anytime he's an over-the-top, like, German officer,
Yeah.
and he's got a fake arm.
He's really good at doing the... I was saying my favorite thing with him was when they played darts.
Yes.
And he puts... The guy, Dr. Frankenstein's not looking, and he puts all the darts on the thing, and he's like... just doing the sound with his mouth.
Hitting his
wow,
arm.
you're really good. And then Frankenstein or Dr. Frankenstein shooting the darts, and he's like missing everything like crazily. And I think one time he's like a cat or something. It's like,
Well, also then if you follow it outside, like as they're showing the inspector's car driving away, all of the ones that went outside went into the tires of the car.
I didn't see that.
They're driving
that's
away
funny.
on
I should have
flats.
saw that.
There's a little thing there. But the last thing I'll just mention here is the like the ending scene, and this is what Mel Brooks always did, was like, it's not really an ending for these movies. It's just really more, at least some of them, like we're just like, it ends on a fucking weird joke, like a random joke or whatever. Like in this, if you caught it, the very ending scene is the Dr. Frankenstein and sitting in bed with Inga, who's played by Terry Garr, who's like his assistant or whatever. And like the running joke in it is that the monster is literally 7'4". He's huge in every way, including his dick.
Yeah.
And they do some weird transference thing at the end, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But, you know, he gets by proxy through the monster. He gets a big dick. The monster gets a brain or part of the brain. And like that, it ends on a dick joke in the bed, which I was just like, that's fucking so wild. It's out of left field to like kind of end on that.
She's fucking sexy in this movie.
Very nice.
Inga, roll in the hay, roll in the hay.
All right. I
I just have one quick
Yeah, go
thought.
ahead.
I was surprised. At first, I didn't notice it was him. And then I was like, I know this voice. I know this guy. Gene Hackman
Yes.
is the blind man.
Right. So let's go into the cast here.
I know. Yeah, that scene was funny. Where he's like lighting his fifth thumb and shit. And I couldn't believe that Gene Hackman was in this movie.
Yeah. So Gene Hackman. I was the one thing I'll say about this. So I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna put up before in the video. I'm gonna put up the movie poster. You know.
Yeah.
DVD cover.
It's got a cool poster
of the Young Frankenstein. I'm also going to show, though, the Mel Brooks collection. Like, this is like when things were done very well, in that it's got 9 movies. It has hours upon hours of like extra shit in there. So like when I finished this movie, there was another like 2 hours of shit that you could watch on top of it, like in every different movie. So that's 9 times. There's like 20 hours.
You don't gotta sell me, man. I'm Mr. Physical Media.
I understand. I'm just.
Yeah.
It's more of a comment on like
Yeah.
this is when the shit was like a pure collection of like every
It's
single.
a great Blu-ray collection to own.
Yes, and we will definitely do more Mel Brooks films in the future.
I had to rent my copy from the library as it's not available to stream anywhere right now, which is insane. I can't believe that. Not even to purchase on Vudu or Fandango or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. It's that.
So I had to go. Can I just a quick story? I had to go to the Schaumburg Library and get a new library card. I haven't been to the library in probably like 15 years or something. Over 10 years. So that was an experience. And then I rented the movie, of course. Thankfully, they had it.
What'd you tell him? Like, I want to read again.
I'm learning to read. No, I was like, yeah, I need a library card. I used to have one. I don't have one anymore. It's been over 10 years. And the whole library looks different. They like redid everything. It's real nice in there, actually. Cool place, too, actually. Bobby was right. Bobby is the one who said to go to the library. Shout out, Bobby. Smart man. They got a lot of cool shit there, like movies, and they got video games and shit. So, maybe I'll go back again, and if I need to get anything, that's actually not a bad place to go.
Use it as a blockbuster.
But yeah, so that was cool. But my copy was not as good as Woj did this nice when I came in, HD, Blu-ray, full screen. Like I had the DVD, which is like, and it's like, I think a full screen or something because it's like square. So like half all this around it's missing, sides and bottom and top.
Gotcha.
So it was not the best experience of that as much as you had for yours.
Right, gotcha. And then let's just kind of go into the cast here just a little bit to kind of finish up. I just got to mention Gene Wilder is
Oh, he's fantastic.
I mean, he's amazing. I mean, he's definitely one of those actors that like anything he was in, he knew how to make a comedic film. I know he tried some more serious stuff, I think, at one point, but like he's a comedic actor.
Well, so many iconic roles, right? Like Willy, obviously Charlie and Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka. I mean,
yeah, he did like Bullet Train.
Wasn't he also in Blazing Saddles?
He was in Blazing Saddles as well.
This Young Fan. What's it called? Yeah, all the Richard Pryor movies.
All the Richard Pryor.
There's like 6 of them or 8 of them or whatever. Like, yeah. So he was big time. He's good. He's a funny guy.
Right. So I mean, the movie simply does not work without him. His cadence is what I kind of took from it.
And
like,
the guy, what did he say? Peter Feldman's his name?
Marty Feldman.
Who played Igor. Well, really, what a great. Perfect casting.
You know how to play the little guy, like the little hang off your like a leech.
Not only was he great at doing, I think he improv some of the jokes I read and just like his comedic timing, but like the look of him, like how he talked about his eyes were all spaced apart. It works perfectly for the character. Like it's like you could not find that with anybody else, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then I mean, and just when the perfect timing though, he's like. Frankenstein to him when they first met, he's like, I'm a brilliant surgeon. I could fix that hump. Because obviously in the, Frankenstein version, the subservient guy, whatever his title is, assistant, has a huge hump. And he's like, oh, what hump? And they play a joke. I love it. They switch it back to,
I think that was his idea, actually, I read. Like, he just did that, like, improvised.
I mean, yeah, all these guys are fucking great at that shit. They're also like at one point, Igor goes, "Damn you eyes," and he goes, "Too late," and they're already fucked up. It's like, so he pokes fun at it.
Are you doing quotes?
That was just because we were mentioning Marty Feldman. To me, I'm pretty good on cast. I mean, there's a lot of great people that are in this, and again, I love personally when one director or producer uses the same guys. That work. Madeline Kahn, who plays Elizabeth, like she is talented as fuck. Like she knows how to sing. She can like all these older kind of actors that like were middle aged, I would say, in like the 70s. Like they were taught to be like, hey, you have to know how to sing and dance. You can't just fucking go and
well-rounded performers.
Right. Yes. Very, very well said.
Yeah. Thank you. So do you want to get into quotes?
Yeah, let's go through those.
I have 4 quotes.
All right, go for it.
I like in the beginning when he's giving the lecture to the class and he's doing the demonstration on the one guy, and then he kicks him in the nuts or whatever, and then he's like, give him an extra $1.
Yeah.
Also, this one where they're knocking on the door, he's like, what knockers? And she's like, oh, thank you, doctor. And he's like, oh.
Yeah, a lot of sexual
her tits are. By the way, she's looking great in this movie.
Yeah.
You haven't touched your food. There, now I've touched it. And he fucking just
smashes his hand into it.
And then I said, oh, that's Igor, give me a hand with the bags. Certainly, you take the blonde, I'll take the one in the turban. That's when he's talking about the girls.
Yeah, he's like, because the fiance at one point comes into town to see him because, again, he's in Transylvania. And again, at the end of the movie, it's just a swap, basically. Like, the doctor gets with his assistant Inga. The monster gets with Catherine Hahn, the fiance.
Yeah.
They make a joke about, what does Catherine Hahn goes, oh, you men are all like 7 or 8 quick ones and you're off to brag with the boys.
Yeah. Except she wouldn't let Gene Wilder do anything with her. Wouldn't they let her touch her even?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's the play on the monster having a huge Schwanzstucker.
Schwanzstucker, yes.
Yeah. What was that from? That's from the...
Inga said that, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah, he would have an enormous Schwanzstucker.
Yes.
He would be very popular.
He would. Yeah.
There's, I got a couple, like, that are, I don't know why, but it just gets me. It's like, my grandfather's work was doo-doo.
Yeah. I don't know what he said. Igor had one thing he said when, I forgot, it was like, he asked him, what did your dad say to you? Or and he said something like, get out of the bathroom, we all need to use. I forget, I didn't write it down, but I thought that was funny. Sorry, I should have wrote it down.
You should have wrote it down.
I fucked up.
It's all right. What a filthy, like they dig up the corpse of Frankenstein. It's like, what a filthy job. Could be worse. Could be raining, and then cue the rain.
Oh, yeah.
I love shit like that. If science teaches us anything, it is to accept failures with silent dignity and grace. You son of a bitch bastard, I'll get you for this.
Or like, yeah, I don't have it written down, but when they lock him in the room, he's like, no matter what, for any reason, if I say anything, don't let me out of this room.
don't let
and
me
then
out.
as soon as they close, he's like, let me out, I was joking.
The best part is that he starts real quiet. He's like, let me out of here. Let me out. Oh, no, I was joking. And then he's like, oh, dear God.
Yeah, what's wrong with you people? Or some shit. That part was funny.
He also says something along the lines of like, as soon as I'll get out of here, I'll kick your heads in.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't have any more. I had the 4, 5.
Just one quick one from Gene Hackman, because like the whole thing is the blind man like ends up like he praying to God. He's like, please send me a companion, someone I can talk to and have whatever the fuck he says with. And when the Frankenstein monster shows up, oh, dude, Peter Boyle, like, he's pouring hot soup on the blind man's pouring hot soup on him, smashing a glass, in his hand.
Yeah. Lighting his finger on fire.
Right. And then he leaves and he's like, wait, where are you going? I was making espresso.
Yeah.
This is, 1700s or whatever the fuck.
I just love another part, again, when they're eating dinner and they think that they tried to reanimate Frankenstein, the monster, but they thought they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, where did you get what kind of soup is this? It's whatever. Do you want the recipe? What? He's like, did you want the recipe? I heard you make a sound.
You just made a yummy sound.
Yummy sound. No, I didn't. I heard it. It wasn't me.
That's great.
Yeah. That Mel Brooks is a lot of like corny, like funny, like
it's right in your face jokes, but it's funny. I mean, I think
just like smart, funny humor.
I just think the other part that I love with this is that like there's times that they break the fourth wall, and they do it a lot like throughout Mel Brooks films that just adds to the joke, and they just like hey, did you get anything else from the monster? And it's just like, But Igor, when he's telling the doctor about, is like, all right, help me with the bags. All right, you take the whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes up to he says verbatim the exact same thing that Gene Wilder says, but he says it as Igor. And Elizabeth is so taken aback by him, but he like as soon as Doctor turns around, he goes, "Say nothing, act casual," and it's just like he's trying to be a little bit of a player.
Yeah,
kind of funny little.
Yeah, he's funny.
All right, we're good on quotes. Soundtrack, I really didn't have a whole lot here. I mean,
no,
it's a score. It's ominous music. I love the theme of it.
There's only the one song they play to attract a monster, to distract him or whatever, in the violin. But I don't know what it's called, but.
No, I didn't know what it's called either.
That's the only one thing I could recognize. That was.
I mean, they had Put It on the Ritz, which was an actual song.
Of course.
Sure. But I just kind of love the theme music. They kept it simple. They didn't go. I'm sure there's some. As I was looking at the soundtrack earlier, there's some other like more orchestral type of fucking songs of like, hey, this was clearly done, or maybe it's like not. I'm not saying it's that, but like. Something of a Mozart or a Bach or, sixth orchestra, stuff like that.
I don't think movies really, honestly, too, in the 70s really would use actual songs. There's a lot of just scores. And,
again...
and also it's mimicking the movie from the 30s, which they definitely didn't do music in movies. So
that's a good point, the second one that you made. I would just argue with the first, though, in that the reason that they really didn't have to go through and use 70s and 60s and 50s songs and stuff like that is because, especially in Mel Brooks, he's very much a theater kid. So he is always in any of his movies. There's musical numbers. There's fucking dancing. This is stuff that he was grew up on. So I feel like that also leads to like they're not going to put in a whole lot of musical. The musical numbers that come out of it are so great. Like I'm just thinking of now, Spaceballs, the Spaceballs song at the end. Here's some Spaceballs, watch out.
Right.
And then also in High Anxiety, which is another one in here.
Yeah.
Like that's another song that they created. I fucking love that song. So we'll get into those, later. But
sure.
Soundtrack in general, Mel Brooks fucking does it right. He's either doing it himself or creating that, or he's doing stuff that again I think works very well.
Yeah.
Let's go right into the Spin-offs, prequels, sequels. You got anything for this? This is kind of odd because it's a retelling of a book or poem, short story, whatever. So, I mean, what do you got? Anything?
I had everything written down. Yeah, it's kind of hard because this is already like a classic tale. I don't know. I don't have anything, honestly.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I would selfishly just kind of put something in terms of like, I want Mel Brooks in the film, selfishly. So him doing something in the realm of him and Gene Wilder just chopping it up. And I know that you said that Gene Wilder said that he specifically cannot be on screen in the movie.
He didn't want him in the movie.
But that to me would have been something that I think would have been really.
So are you saying like a sequel to the movie, but involving Mel Brooks this time as a character of some sort?
That or I could even go see younger, even though Mel Brooks at this time, 70s, he's probably like pushing 50.
He's in his 50s.
You know, it's a little hard to do before, but like he's still like when you see him in the stock pictures of like them working on stuff, like he looks youngish enough.
Dude,
he could do something.
The picture they had of him in Wikipedia was from like 14 years ago. He still didn't even look that bad, and he's like that would have been like he'd been like 80 something.
Yeah.
Like,
but again, that's kind of maybe. But in my mind, this is fine to not really have any sequels, prequels, because I think it's very tough to go. This was an actual made-up story. It's been done dozens of times.
I mean, the only thing that would make sense would be like the prequel of his grandfather. But then again, it's like the same story. Like he's making the monster.
Right. They would have to.
It would be like the same things. I don't really see.
Yeah, they'd have to do it some different way. I don't know, but
maybe like an Igor spinoff or something.
I would love more Marty Feldman for sure.
That's all I could really muster.
Let me just take one final look at this before we move on. We're like going to Picky Nits. I mean, do you have really anything? It's a
Picky Nits? No, not really, because comedies are kind of more like we talked about, more broad and like just. Like, especially this is like a parody, so it's, you know, it's not supposed to be like serious. I don't have any, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's really anything that I look at and go, oh my God, same thing. It's a comedy. Peter Boyle, I would just say, is like, he is somewhat small. Like, so like they were trying to make it so
his stature?
Yeah, I mean, they gave him a bunch of lifts in his shoes and made his forehead more pronounced and stuff like that to make it.
So you want
bigger.
You want me like a basketball player or something?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think in that role, like Peter Boyle is great, and the monologue that he gives at the end, if you remember that, like it's after his transference where he now has a brain, and he's this intelligent guy and all that stuff. I just think that could have been somebody that, if they were bigger, I would have been like, okay, like it's to me, it's not a very substantive role of like. Only Peter Boyle could have done that. So, and that's kind of how a lot of whatchamacallit, Mel Brooks movies are. Like,
I mean,
you can really,
could have been good. Kareem, he's sitting there. It was an airplane, and 6 years later, so he would have comedy experience.
Got those chops.
And he's like 7'2".
But yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything else. I am just going to mention a couple quick others.
Sure.
There's always a running joke of in Mel Brooks movies where somebody goes, walk this way, like, hey, come over here, and they take it literally of like walking behind them in the same way, like Igor has the cane.
Oh yeah.
And he goes down like this. They do that in multiple movies. I love that like running gag. Like I said before, I believe I mentioned the equipment in the lab is the original from the Frankenstein movie in 1931 with Boris Karloff. No. So they got the set designer guy, basically went to his house where he had all this shit and loaded it up. There's a little difference of like the Frankenstein monster story of like what you like. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like your version probably would be like he's getting different parts of people from a bunch of different corpses. Like legs here, it's not just one body like they did in this.
I think it depends. I think that the version they did is the one I know that makes sense, where they put the brain of somebody in the body. But I mean, I think both work, both versions.
Like I said, it was a little difference. Again, not really a picky nit. It just was kind of a difference. The last little quick thing again that I always just mention after you see them a couple different times is the third switch when he's giving him more power to
Not the third switch.
1, 2, and the third one on the top of right above it says the works, and then
I did not see that. I gotta pay attention more. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. The problem is too for me. I'm watching this when I got out of work, and I don't gotta work till like 10:30, and I don't watch it till like midnight or after, and like
I got you.
so I'm like, and part of me is like, I'm trying to pay attention like as much as I can, but like I was just like kind of tired. I watch I watched the whole thing or whatever. I'm just saying, like,
No, it's not. I'm not
I
a
should
fucking.
I should have noticed those details. I'm kind of mad I didn't.
It's all good. I would just say in a lot of Mel Brooks films, you should definitely pay attention to like little things kind of written on it. Like again, like the book. Like I said, how I did this.
Yeah, that's my
how
fault.
I did it. Stuff like that. It's not a huge issue or whatever. Because again, we're gonna do more Mel Brooks films. In the future. Let's do a little bit of any other final thoughts before we move to rating?
No, I mean, I was just going to say, if we were picking that guy, I think it's definitely Kenneth Mars as Otto from Malcolm in the Middle. For me. But
a lot of the other more main characters are like people that I feel like have
Cloris Leachman. I feel like people know Cloris Leachman.
People know Cloris Leachman. People know.
I mean, they knew Terry Garr.
Terry Garr is a pretty, I would say, prominent person.
Yeah. So I think that would be the choice. I mean, or also you're with Peter Boyle, but I think people know him too.
People know him as the dad.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Everybody Loves Raymond,
right?
Among other things.
Yeah.
But I just would say there's not a whole lot because I think that there's in many Mel Brooks films, and I can't wait till we get to kind of like Blazing Saddles or Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Like those ones that have these other guys in it that you're like, oh, yeah, that's the guy. I fucking remember that.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude.
So, you said it before, it's not available anywhere.
It's
I
strange.
have this badass collection from my dad. So my rating or ranking of it, I'm probably going to go with a 9-1.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm pretty confident there's a couple of Mel Brooks films that I feel like will kind of dip below the 9 threshold for me, but most of his stuff that I love is really in the 9 to 10 category. So I'm going to go 9, 1, I think I said. And I personally, again, I think this is one of the directors that you have to own. I mean, there are many in terms of comedy, this is like a very firm leg or foundation into comedy. So I'm going to go, yeah. What do you got on this?
So I would say if it was available to stream it. I would not. For me, I'm not going to own it.
Right. Okay.
I like Mel Brooks and stuff, but I'm not like a Mel Brooks connoisseur like yourself.
Right.
Where I've seen his movies a bunch of times. Like I said, besides pretty much just mostly Spaceballs and Men in Tights, which both of them I haven't seen in a while. But for me, the grade, man, this is tough. Like it's not like
shot out of a cannon, man.
It's not like overly funny, but it's got funny moments. I'm gonna go with the same as last week and 7.5.
Okay.
Same as I gave Bobby's movie.
That's fine.
For different reasons. Also, I would say that would throw into my thing. Like I said, the copy I have, the DVD, wasn't a great version, so it wasn't visually as nice as I would have liked.
Okay. Well, let's
I'm just saying.
Let's just address that real quick.
That's not my fault.
Hold on. It is not your fault. That is correct. But don't take that into account if you're grading the movie.
It's the visuals go into account a little bit.
But that's
minimal. It's very minimal.
Okay.
I'm just saying that maybe the grade would have been enhanced.
But that shouldn't sway your grade as the version that you have it.
Well, of course it should a little bit.
No, like because this is what I'm saying with older movie. If it's a newer movie, yes, because everything newer should be in a higher resolution. This is a movie made in 1974, so it's looking shitty is kind of how it was made. Because again, more so, it's mimicking a 1931 movie.
No, it's not. It's not. You're kind of phrasing it wrong. It's not looking shitty. It's just the format that the way it showed on my TV was not the best. And again, it's not. It doesn't even play a factor. I just wanted to mention it. I just wanted to say basically like, if I had your version, the nice one and shit with the full screen and looking nice, I think maybe it's a point up for me. Like one, it's a slight difference. It's not like making it or breaking it.
No, I get that. I'm just saying it's like
I'm judging it by the quality still of the movie and the jokes
Okay,
and the
that's good. That's
whatever.
what you should.
But sometimes the way a movie looks can add or subtract from the score a little bit, like especially if you're seeing it like some movies are better like in the theater than they are at your house. Like that's all I'm saying. It's kind of like
I totally get it.
I haven't seen this in a long time, so it's like when I know I have, I don't know. Yeah.
It's all good, man. Dude, I get it. It's all good. Again, for me, any movie that I choose here, I mean, I'm fine with whatever anybody else thinks of the movie because it's your opinion. If you fucking think it's dog shit, and some people really just don't get Mel Brooks, and they're just like, this is not my cup of tea. Yeah. Good on you. Like,
I don't think it's dog shit, but
shit.
It's not like my favorite either. But there's like moments that I really did like.
Right. It's all good.
And also, I would also say too, like I told you, I'm not a big black and white person, even though I do think for this movie it makes sense, and I agree that they. Mm-hmm. Did with them doing that, but just in general for me, too, and also a lot of 70s movies too are hit or miss for me.
Okay,
in general for me.
All good, man. All right, so like I said, when we get Bobby back on, we'll get some his takes on Young Frankenstein. I think Bobby with me, I think it could go 50-50 on whether he's in on Mel Brooks, out on Mel Brooks, but. We'll get a little discussion there. It'll be like a 10-minute powwow. It'll be like, hey, Bobby, this is what you missed last week.
What do you think?
And, yeah, go through that. So, again, no movie review coming up. Next week, we will do a little bonus.
It will be mine afterwards. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to choose, but I'll think
so it'll be Ryan's choice when we get back to it. But, again, we got a bonus episode coming up tomorrow. We're going to have... full draft day fantasy football extravaganza going on. We're
ramping up for football.
Next week the season starts, and so like it's going to be on like fucking Donkey Kong like at that point. So I'm pretty pumped, man. It was a great episode. I always love the duo eps. So for Woj
and Ryan.
This is the Journeymen Lounge podcast, and we'll fucking see you next week. And also. The fucking Instagram videos should be up by the time this is out of like the last round and some other shit. And also, I'm pretty pumped to get into. Finally, like we're getting to the point where I can get the video clips up of games and shit. So hopefully, people start sending me that shit. I'll get your thing posted so that 50 people can see it additionally.
We've been racking up the 2K highlights and a couple FIFA ones.
We'll fucking share those for sure.
Specifically that Zion one from last week. We got to post.
That was ridiculous. But more to come. So Journeyman Lounge podcast out.
Check you later.